What makes a football team truly terrible? Is it the crushing defeats, the historically bad records, or the moments so embarrassing they become legendary for all the wrong reasons?
Get out there, you idiot! Oh, horse.
In a long history of the NFL, a few teams have stood out not for their success, but for their spectacular failures.
Incomplete pass, and what a disappointing end.
Like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' winless debut, the Lions and Browns joining the ranks of the 0-16, or the Oilers' rapid collapse from playoff contenders to laughingstock. But which of these infamous squads truly takes the crown as the worst in NFL history? Stick around, because you might be surprised by who we include in this list. They are a team that will be forever etched in NFL history, but not for the reasons they'd want.
It bothers me that they have picked us to be the worst team in football. Second worst team, I could stand it, but not the worst team.
As a brand new expansion team, they were a blank slate. Unfortunately, they filled that slate with losses. Their debut season ended with an infamous 0-14 record, making them the first team to go an entire NFL season without a win since the merger. Being coached by the colorful John McKay, the Buccaneers were a team trying to find their way, but they stumbled out of the gate and kept tripping week after week. They scored a total of just 125 points all season, an average of only 8.9 points per game. It's not that they were just bad offensively. They also had one of the most porous defenses in the league, allowing a crushing 412 points. That's a point differential of negative 287, which still ranks among the worst in NFL history. The losses piled up, and they weren't just close games that slipped away. Many were blowouts that exposed every weakness of the young franchise. They were shut out 5 times that season, including a brutal 42-0 defeat to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Every Sunday seemed like another opportunity for the team to hit rock bottom. And it didn't help much that their head coach, McKay, often added fuel to the fire with his blunt, sometimes humorous quotes. When asked about his team's execution, he had quite the response.
I don't think the game is that difficult.
It's no more difficult than college ball, huh?
Not in my opinion.
For national.
But the real story of the 76 Buccaneers isn't just the losing. It's the way they lost. Whether it was their hapless offense that could barely move the ball or a defense that seemed to invite opponents to score, they became the definition of an NFL underdog struggling to even compete. Now, let's turn our attention to another team that carved its name into the wrong side of NFL history, the 2008 Detroit Lions. If there's one word that sums up their season, it's winless.
We have our first 0-16 team, John Lynch. That is the final snap of the season here at Lambeau Field.
The Lions, how they got themselves into this mess, they had the number one, top 10 picks over and over and over. They missed complete.
And the O in Motown officially stands for 0-16.
The Lions finished with a record of 0-16, becoming the first team in NFL history to lose every game in a 16-game season. This was a franchise with a long and storied past, but 2008 was a year that pushed fans and players to their limits, ending in utter frustration. What made that season so uniquely disastrous was how consistently they found new ways to lose. Their offense struggled to find any rhythm, managing just 268.3 yards per game, which ranked last in the league. On the other side of the ball, the defense was even worse, giving up 32.3 points per game and a total of 517 points across the season. The numbers alone tell a story of failure, but the details of their games reveal just how much this team struggled week after week. Quarterback play was a particular area of pain for the Lions. With a rotating cast of starters, they threw a total of 18 touchdown passes against 19 interceptions. There was little consistency, and it showed. The offense was unable to sustain drives or put points on the board, leaving the defense exhausted and overmatched. Games that seemed within reach slipped away due to untimely turnovers, missed field goals, or blown coverages. Throughout the season, the Lions tried different strategies, shifted lineups, and rotated players, but nothing worked. They were stuck in a cycle of defeat, unable to break free from their losing ways. Yet, even in the face of constant defeats, the Lions managed to bring change. The franchise had to face a tough reality check, leading to a major overhaul in management and coaching. It was a season that forced the team to rebuild from the ground up. But they weren't the only team that went winless for the entire season. The 2017 Cleveland Browns were also unfortunate. Unlike many other teams on this list, the Browns' struggles in 2017 were not a sudden collapse or a surprising downfall. This season was the result of years of poor draft picks, front office instability, and an organization that seemed to be constantly in rebuilding mode. So, in 2017, the Browns went 0-16, matching the Lions' record of winless futility.
Allen inside the 20. Allen still going.
Honestly, I want them to start running.
Kaiser, good protection over the middle, intercepted.
You're such a poor f***ing coach. Your friends are doing anything to defend you. You knew what you were getting into with the Browns. They were rebuilding. The fact of the matter remains is you are a horrible offensive coordinator.
Now, what made their season especially painful was the mix of close losses and blowout defeats. While they had opportunities to win, they just couldn't get over the hump. The team managed to score only 234 points over the entire season, ranking near the bottom of the league in almost every offensive category. Their defense wasn't much better, allowing a total of 410 points, often failing to hold on to leads or making critical stops when it mattered most. When you analyze the quarterback position, it was a glaring issue throughout the season. For instance, they had a rookie quarterback, Deshaun Kaiser. He led the league in interceptions with 22 and struggled to find consistency, while the team frequently cycled through quarterbacks, searching for a spark that never came. The offense, on the other hand, often stalled in crucial moments, plagued by mistakes, turnovers, and missed chances. The Browns came close to winning in a few games, such as their overtime loss to the Green Bay Packers in Week 14, but even when they were competitive, they found ways to let victories slip through their fingers.
Understand that it's actually statistically harder for a team to be this consistently bad than it is for them to occasionally accidentally be good. And here's what you have to understand. We don't even expect you to be good. We just want you to be watchable. Do you have any idea how low our expectations are? We don't expect you to win the Super Bowl. We just want you to look better than a Division III high school team.
Yet, even as they hit rock bottom, there was a silver lining. This disastrous season forced the organization to make significant changes, leading to a complete overhaul of their roster, coaching staff, and management. It set the stage for a renewed focus on building a competitive team driven by high draft picks and a clearer strategy moving forward. Next, let's explore the story of the 1981 Baltimore Colts.
I'm Merle Herman with Mike Hafner. Mike, you played with winners and you played with losers. The Colts are losers. What's it like?
A team that found itself on the wrong side of history for all the wrong reasons. You see, the Colts season is infamous not for their offensive woes, but for a defense that seemed incapable of stopping anyone. They finished the year with a 2-14 record, but the real eye-opener was the 533 points they allowed over those 16 games, setting a new NFL record at the time for most points surrendered in a single season. The Colts defense was a revolving door, giving up an average of 33.3 points per game. Teams found it easy to march down the field, and big plays were a regular occurrence against them. 6 times that season, the Colts allowed their opponents to score more than 40 points in a game. Among these lowlights was a crushing 59-14 defeat to the Philadelphia Eagles and a humiliating 52-0 shutout loss to the Miami Dolphins. Every game seemed like a new low, as opponents had a field day against a unit that couldn't get out of its way. This disastrous defensive performance overshadowed any efforts by the offense, which struggled to keep up with the relentless scoring by the opposition. Even when the Colts managed to score, they were quickly overwhelmed by their inability to hold the line. It was a season defined by defensive breakdowns, blown coverages, and an almost shocking lack of resistance. Then comes the interesting story of the 1994 Houston Oilers, a team that experienced one of the most dramatic collapses in NFL history. Just 2 years earlier, the Oilers were a playoff team with a 12-4 record, a solid roster, and aspirations for a Super Bowl run. But by 1994, things had unraveled completely.
Happy Cowboy. Cowboys come back big. 13-10 Cowboys in the third. Troy Aikman. finds Alvin Harper. The play goes for 53 yards, putting the Cowboys up 20-10. Interesting play.
The team finished with a dismal 2-14 record, and what was once a competitive franchise found itself in the depths of the league standings. The problems in 1994 started from the top. The Oilers were in the middle of an organizational crisis, marked by internal conflict and major changes in the coaching staff. The departure of several key players left the team without its core, and the front office was grappling with instability. On the field, the offense struggled to find any cohesion. With the likes of Cody Carlson, Billy Joe Tolliver, and Bucky Richardson sharing time at quarterback, the passing game faltered and interceptions piled up, 26 in total. Drives stalled, and turnovers became a regular feature of the Oilers' playbook. Defensively, the Oilers couldn't find any answers either. They allowed over 405 points over the season, with their opponents repeatedly exposing weaknesses in their secondary and front line. The team suffered some brutal losses. Fans who had cheered for a strong playoff-caliber team just 2 years prior were now left watching a squad in freefall. Off the field, tensions were high. The struggles of the season amplified discussions about the franchise's future in Houston, setting the stage for relocation talks that would eventually lead the team to Tennessee. For the Oilers, 1994 was a year of loss, not just on the scoreboard, but in terms of fan support, confidence, and direction. The disarray of this season marked the beginning of the end for the Oilers in Houston. As we've journeyed through these unforgettable seasons of struggle and despair, it makes you wonder, what drives a team to bounce back from rock bottom? And which team today might be on the verge of their own historic collapse or miraculous comeback? Could we be witnessing the next chapter in NFL history right now? Let me know what you think in the comments, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next big story in the world of football.